Rick, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? What are we making here? Because it's not the Lightning Thief. Why did you tell us that this was going to be accurate to the book? Like, it's not. Why didn't you just tell us the truth? Why didn't you just tell us you were going to change a ton of stuff? Like, I mean, it's getting hard to know how exactly to describe this series. Like, because with the amount of stuff that's been changed now, I'm starting to think we've reached the point where now we're just as inaccurate as the movies were. Because, yeah, look, there's more stuff from the books in the show than there was in the movies, but there's also more changes than there were in the movies. So, I think we're even now. I don't know. But, this episode, man, this episode made me go, what? I don't even know, like, it's hard to put into words exactly how this episode made me feel. Not as bad as the previous episode, of course. Like, if it was as bad as the previous episode, like, I don't know what the hell you're doing. But this is, as I predicted, the episode where they go to the Underworld and meet Hades. I pulled out my little Hades cabin shirt for this episode. Hades is my favorite Greek god. I've said it many times. I think he's most people's favorite Greek god. I loved the way Hades was done in the book. I've taken the Percy Jackson, Rick Riordan quiz. Turns out Hades is my godly parent. That was cool. I did a video about that if you want to see it. I'm sorry my nose has been weird. There's allergies. But, the way Hades is done in this show is embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. I've got a lot to say about this episode, so let's start with good things. Let's start with things that were good in the episode. Because let's be a little positive here. We do go to the Underworld, and the Underworld doesn't look bad. Honestly, the Underworld looks pretty good. Good-looking Underworld. House of Hades looks cool. I like the upside-down design. It looks like Olympus flipped over, which I'm pretty sure is what the book said, too. So, cool. Yeah. Good design there. Cerberus looks perfect. Looks exactly how I would have wanted him to look. The CGI on him was actually good. Scene with him was okay. I prefer it in the book, but the scene in the show was alright, with some stuff I'll talk about later. What else? Charon's hooded design was alright. Not a bad design. Wandering around the fields of Asphodel was interesting. The souls there are standing still and are literally rooted to the ground. And there is actually I'm not sure if this comes from Greek mythology or just Dante's Inferno, but there is a legend where there are souls in the Underworld who are rooted to the ground or have, like, become trees, like, either out of regret or just, like, having lost who they are. So that was kind of cool to see in the episode in the fields of Asphodel. That was kind of interesting. Not in the book, but, it's a thing from myths being put in here, and I love myths, so it's kind of cool to see. Didn't really have a big problem with that. They have the Tartarus scene from the book. I was thinking maybe they weren't going to do that, but they did. So, and it's pretty much exactly how it is in the book. So yeah, that's cool. Like, they have the scene where Grover is getting pulled towards the entrance to Tartarus with the shoes, because, as you probably know, those shoes were cursed. So it's good that they have that in there, and the way it's done, I think, could feel tense for new viewers. But the whole time he was getting pulled there, I was thinking a little bit, why don't you just use the pearl? But I guess you could say that about the books, too. Is there anything else good I have to say about this episode? No, I don't think so. Well, maybe some stuff will come to me as we talk about it. So, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a little low energy because this episode just drained the energy out of me. We actually start with Procrustes' bed store. I really didn't think they were going to have it, but they have it. And they ruin it. It's awful. It's awful the way it's done. I hated it. I hated what they did. Percy shows up at Procrustes' bed store. It's a decent-looking store. Procrustes looks good. And then, once again, Percy immediately already knows everything upon entering. No sense of discovery, no tense moment, no danger whatsoever, because we already know immediately everything about this character and who he is and what he does. So, screw it. Screw discovering stuff. Screw, having just moments where we get lost in this world. Nope, just identify it all on site and do nothing with it. And it's so funny because the way this scene is written, it feels like the guy playing Procrustes is trying so hard to make the scene happen the way it did in the book, while Percy's character in the show is refusing to let him do that. Because the Procrustes, crusty character, shows up and starts talking like in the book, "Hi, welcome to my store. I've got he's like, I know who you are. You're Procrustes. You're the killer of travelers and you're guarding the underworld right now." And Procrustes just stands there like, "Anyway, these beds I have, they're good beds. You might want to try one." Percy's like, "No, I don't have time for that. I know whatever. Let's just move on." And Procrustes is like, "As I was saying, it feels like they were given two different scripts. It's such an awkwardly done scene. It's so weird." And you know what I thought they were going to do? They reveal one of the beds. It looked like one of the beds was a water bed. And I was like, oh, maybe they're going to do something with that. Like, in the book, admittedly, the way Percy beats Krusty is a little silly. Like, he just tricks Krusty into sitting on his own bed, and then he gets tied up by the bed. Like, Krusty, you're pretty stupid. But I thought what they were going to replace that with, I thought Percy was going to use his water powers on the water bed and catch him with that. But they don't do that. They have Annabeth use her invisibility to push Krusty onto the bed. Okay, fine. And then it's so annoying, they say, "Hey, be glad we're letting you keep your head. Like, we're not going to kill you. We're going to just leave you alone." It's like, really? You're going to leave him alone? You guys realize this guy is murdering people on the reg. You've openly said that when you came in. You were like, "You're Procrustes, murder of travelers." Yeah, he murders people constantly with this store, and you're just going to let him keep doing it? You guys suck. You guys are awful people. You are now complicit in everyone who dies from this moment forward. You're just going to let him keep killing people. It's like, why would you do that? Why would you write it that way? Why is this show trying to be for 5-year-olds? It's like, oh, no, we can't chop his head off like that. We can't save the lives of any future potential victims. No. Too much violence in this Greek mythology show. Then it turns out he's guarding a way to the underworld, not in the books. In the books, there was actually there was a place they go to where Charon is at the reception desk, and that leads to the underworld. I thought that was really cool in the books, but we don't get that here. Instead, for some reason, the gods put a serial killer in charge of guarding a passage to the underworld. No idea why you would do that, but okay. So, they open his doorway to the underworld, and Grover's like, "Oh, it smells terrible, it stinks." So Annabeth hands Grover a bouncy ball. And it's like, I guess they're using it like a stress ball, but what does that have to do with it smelling bad? How is that going to fix the smell? I know why you're giving him the ball. It's to incorporate it into the Cerberus scene later, but here's a better way to do it, in my opinion. Have Grover be scared to go down there. Show him shaking or something. Show him, shivering or shaking like he's worried. And then have Annabeth hand him the ball. It's so simple. It's such an easy fix. Why would you... I don't know. Then, before they go down, Percy says, "Hey, each take a pearl in case something happens, we can get out." And I thought that was actually smart. That's what a smart person would do. And, a lot of people have commented on the fact that Percy was given 4 pearls instead of 3. A lot of people don't like it. Here's my thoughts on it, actually. I actually kind of think it makes sense. Because if you think about it, Poseidon knows Percy is going to the underworld to save his mom. So if he only gives him 3 pearls, it's a little douchey. He's just going, "Nope, no saving your mom. Here's 3. Why would he not give him 4? It kind of makes a little more sense, in my opinion. It's a little plus I'll give to the show here. So I figured from the start, I thought, okay, they're gonna lose one of the pearls in the underworld, and that's where the hard choice will come from. And I think it makes sense. So then they go into the underworld, and we get this pointless flashback scene. Like, there are several pointless flashback scenes throughout the episode that I didn't like. I don't know, maybe you guys like them. Like, they're just establishing that Sally, like, they have this scene where Sally and Percy are arguing in a car on the way to a school. Then they have a flashback scene, which is so incredibly stupid, of Percy's mom trying to get him into the school. Then they have another flashback scene of them in a diner together where she says, hey, you're in the school now, and it's going to be good. And Percy's upset because he feels like his mom is trying to get rid of him. Here's the thing, though. You could have just had that last flashback scene. If you must have a flashback scene, you could have just started it in the diner, and we would have gotten what was going on. Because she says, hey, you know, you're going into this school. It's good. It's going to be a good school for you. And Percy's like, why are you trying to get rid of me? Like, I could have gathered everything from that. We didn't need the car scene. That was just awkward. And the second flashback scene is the stupidest thing ever. And let me tell you why. This is a school for kids with learning disabilities. This is supposed to be a school where you send kids who need help, like who need teachers who are going to be there for them. And the school has already accepted Percy, but the mom's talking to the principal, and the principal's like, sorry, we can no longer accept your child. Like, you don't understand. Like, something has come up, something horrible. And the mom's like, a drawing? He's like, a drawing so severe that the counselor from Percy's old school contacted me and told me how horrifying this is. You want to know what the drawing is? It's a drawing of a Pegasus. He drew a horse with wings, and everyone flipped their shit about it. And it's like, why would you be so crazy? And then he says another thing afterward, so you might think, oh, it's not actually the drawing. But he emphasizes that it's the drawing, so I don't know why he would say that if it's not it. He says, yes, but after that, your child went onto the roof of the gymnasium and thought he saw something. It's like, yeah, he's a kid. Kids walk around, kids get curious, kids look at stuff, especially a kid with learning disabilities. Like, have you ever met, like, an autistic person or a kid with ADD? Like, kids do that stuff. And second of all, the fact that a kid even got on the roof of the gymnasium is a failure on the school's part, not the kid's part. Like, how dumb is this school? How horribly written is this idiocy? It's, like, when he said the drawing, I thought, my God, did he draw someone being disemboweled? No, he drew a horse and he put wings on it, and everyone acted like he was the spawn of Satan. What are you doing, show? Like, what a stupid scene. I don't know, does anyone work at a school? Maybe you can give me some insight on this. But yeah, then we get to the Underworld. The Underworld looks okay. There's kind of a funny joke where Percy says, we're not in Kansas anymore, and Annabeth goes, yeah, we left Kansas 4 days ago. And Percy's like, no, never mind. Like, that was a little funny. I thought that was a little funny. And then there's this big line leading into the Underworld. I thought that was a little funny, too. Like, they start pushing through the line. I was like, man, it's like Disneyland. So that was a little, like, there's little chuckles here and there. That's why I don't think this episode's terrible. It's just not good, and, like, for reasons I've said so far and reasons we'll get into later. And then they get to Charon at the front. I like Charon's robe design. I just really wanted to first see the scene in the books where they encounter him above the Underworld, and he's wearing, like, this 3-piece suit, and, like, because Charon in the books apparently really loves suits, and it's a fun little quirk he has. And there's this funny scene where Percy, like, bribes Chiron with drachmas and says, you know, I could talk to Hades about maybe getting you a raise or something. You know, it's a funny scene, but none of that's here. Here, they get to the front. Charon says, you're not dead. And Percy says, well, we're all dying, aren't we? Again, little funny. There's some decent comedy here. But then it's so weird. Like, Percy then pulls out, like, a whole, like, handfuls of drachmas and says, here, you can have all these drachmas. Now, if you know Charon from the books or Charon from the myths, you know he will take those in an instant. You know he'll be like, yeah, give me that. Here, get on the boat. Doesn't do it here for some reason. Instead, he blows a dog whistle and summons Cerberus. Completely out of character for any version of Charon. Even the Hades video game got Charon right in this way. But yeah, so he summons Cerberus. Cerberus, very well designed. And then Cerberus shows up and just eats Grover. And I was like, what the fuck? And Percy and Annabeth have almost no reaction to what looks like Grover being killed right in front of them. They're just like, oh, okay, well, run. It's like, really? You're not going to have a reaction to your friend maybe dying? And also, Grover doesn't activate the pearl when he's literally inside of when he's inside of Cerberus's body. This is the time to activate the pearl, Grover. But he doesn't do it. Annabeth then starts, in the books, like, I'm pretty sure she used the ball to, like, tame Cerberus or something, but in the show, she instead climbs on him and starts giving him scritches, and then Cerberus spits up Grover, and Grover doesn't have the pearl anymore. I guess somehow the pearl fell into Cerberus's body, and all I can think now is that pearl not going to get crushed at some point in that dog's digestive system? Is the dog going to get teleported up to New York? What's going to happen now? But I guess we're never going to address that. So she gives him scritches, and then instead of taking Charon's boat through the underworld, which would be the way to go, they fly up on top of a wall in the underworld, I guess. And then Annabeth somehow has the best arm in all of history because she tosses the red ball all the way up this really high wall through mist directly into Percy's hand. No idea how she does it. In order to get Cerberus to jump up there so she can get up there. Which, it doesn't sound like a bad plan. It's just like, what part of being Athena's daughter gives you that kind of pitching technique? I don't know. It's a nitpick, though, but it's just a little funny, in my opinion. By the way, someone in my comments pointed out that they made the Cerberus scene a lot more like the first Harry Potter movie than it was in the book, because they put Cerberus to sleep, and then they get out just as he's waking up, and I was like, oh yeah, it is a lot more like Harry Potter now. Alright, so we've taken more originality away from the Percy Jackson series. Isn't that lovely? Then when they get to the House of Hades, again, the House of Hades looks good. Like, I'm not going to complain about the look of it. What I will nitpick about, though, is in the books, one really cool thing about it was as they walked down the entryway to Hades, Hades had different guards from every era standing guard. Like, he had, medieval guys, Spartan guys, modern soldiers with guns as skeletons guarding. But in this, we just have two guys guarding and that's it. And I was like, oh man, come on, you couldn't... I was looking forward to seeing that lineup. I thought it could have been really cool. And then they get into Hades' throne room. First of all, Hades has the most uncomfortable looking throne ever. It doesn't have a backrest. It has two things going up the side and no back, so you just fall right through it. Unless I missed something. And then Hades comes out, and I'm just going to tell you, for anyone who hasn't read the book, in the books, Hades is, even though he's not the bad guy, he's not a villain, he still has an intimidating presence. He commands authority, and he hates Zeus because of something that's revealed in later books. Like, he has this hatred for, Zeus, and this huge anger for even the fact that Percy exists because of what almost happened to his own children, and what happened to a woman he genuinely cared for. Hades is a very tragic character in the books, which adds a lot to him, and, with how intimidating he is and how he commands authority, I'd compare him a little maybe to the Hades game Hades, though not quite as boom as that Hades, but more on that level. Hades in this show just walks around in a freaking robe, like, hey, what's going on? Hey, come over here. I'm exaggerating a little, but that's kind of the vibe I got from him. He's like, hey, what are you guys doing? Come on over here. Let's talk. Let's move it down. It felt like they were trying to be funny with him. It felt like they were trying to do, James Woods again, but that works in that world because that's the vibe for it. But this, I really wanted Book Hades to come to life because that was actually one of my favorite adaptations of Hades, was how he was done in the Percy Jackson books. I remember when I first read it, it was so refreshing and cool to see, and we don't get that here, and it really bums me out. He's just this lighthearted, silly guy who has no problem with his brothers whatsoever. They establish, he says, I don't care about them. I got no issues with them. No big deal. I just want my helmet back. Just give me my helmet back. Like, and yeah, he wants his helmet back in the book, but it's more like he's angry. He's like, give me back my helmet. And this, he's like, hey, come on, like, give it back. Like, why don't you give it back? I took your mother. Here she is, this gold statue, this deformed-ass looking gold statue, which looks really disturbing. I did like, though, there's this scene where they show this big painting in, like, Hades' sitting room, I guess. They had this really cool looking painting. It was only for a second, but I remember seeing it being like, whoa, I'd like to see more of that. So, like, at least that was cool. But I really didn't like Hades' character in this. He felt way too silly. This, in my opinion, this was not the place for silly Hades. One compliment I've been giving this show so far is that all the scenes with gods were good. Like, you know, all the gods seemed proper for the most part. Like, I really love the Edge as Ares. I'm sorry, I can't talk today. I really love the Edge as Ares. I think he's doing a great job, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of him in the next episode. I see why everyone was so thrilled when he was cast. I like, you know, the guy playing Hephaestus. I love that actor, and I think he can do a very good Hephaestus in the future. But this Hades casting isn't working for me. Nothing against the actor. He seems like a guy who can act and who can have fun and stuff, but he's miscast here. Like, this is not fitting at all. I wanted a Hades who commands authority. I really wanted that, and I didn't get that here. And so, yeah, Percy just kind of... Oh, yeah, and then we have this other silly scene. Like, after Grover almost gets pulled into Tartarus, like, they immediately discover that the lightning bolt is in their backpack. Like, they discover it instantly. In the book, they discovered it while talking to Hades. But here, they discover it instantly and then go to Hades anyway. And it's kind of weird, like... I don't know. I don't know what their plan really is. If you think that Hades wants you to bring him the bolt, why are you bringing him the bolt? It sounds ridiculous. In the book, they went to him because they thought he already had the bolt, and they thought they had to get it back. But in this, they think that Hades is tricking them into bringing him the bolt, and they're like, all right, well, let's go to Hades then, as we have the bolt. It's like, you idiots! You think you're doing exactly what he wants you to do. Why would you do it then? One compliment though. I love the way the bolt looks. I think it looks really, really cool. I actually want one. Like, if they start selling those, I want one of those. It looks really good. I like the way the bolt was designed in this. I guess the main thing this episode has going for it is designs. Heck, I would even like that Hades robe that Hades is wearing. But again, Hades' character is so not his character in the books. So instead of, during the conversation, them discovering that Ares is the villain, they immediately discover that Kronos is the villain. So I guess that's not a twist being saved for later, but they are still saving the Luke twist, so it's something, I guess. Because I was thinking, what are they going to discover when they talk to Hades if they already know Ares is involved? And it's like, okay, I guess we'll just discover the Kronos thing. Because, yeah, what's even left other than that? And then they use the pearls, and here's another thing that makes no sense. So in the book, the pearls created bubbles, because it's from Poseidon. They created like these pearl bubbles that took them back up to the surface. But in this, they use the pearls and it creates a portal under them that sucks them down. Which makes no sense, because you're trying to leave the underworld, but you're going down. You should be going up, right? Like, did the writers forget where we are? Like, why would you go down when you need to get up? You should be falling into Tartarus by this logic. This is a ridiculous way that this is shown. I don't know. It's a little weird. And then we get actually one of the only flashback scenes I like. So the mom, but it immediately follows something I don't like. Because when the mom's talking to Percy, he says, "Why do you want to get rid of me so bad? I would never do this to you." The mom then gets up and walks away from him and just stays away from him for, like, I don't know, 20 minutes. It's like, that's going to make your kid feel more like you want to be away from him. If my kids, look, I'm not a father, okay, but here's what I would think I would do. If my kid said to me, "Why are you trying so hard to get rid of me?" I would come over to them and hug them and say, it's not that I want to get rid of you. It's that, listen, you have, like, a condition, and I want you to get the best possible help you can for that. I want you to get the best schooling you can get. I don't believe I am equipped to homeschool you. I don't think I can handle that. I want you to be with people who can handle that. But I love you so much, and I want you around, and like it hurts me to have to send you to stuff like this, but like I need you with me on this. I need us to work together. I don't know, that's what I think I would say. I sure as hell wouldn't respond to it by walking away from my kid and not facing him and just leaving him there. Like, God knows what could happen to him if you're just gonna leave him there all by himself, facing completely away from him. Like, somebody could kidnap your kid. So that was something I thought was silly, but then after that, there's actually this creative thing where she sacrifices ice cream to Poseidon she like lights a match and drops it into the ice cream, and Poseidon immediately shows up, and they have this talk together that I actually thought was kind of good. Like, they're trying to explain why Percy doesn't get sent to the camp right away, and the mom says it's because she wants him to have an identity before he goes to the camp. She wants him to learn more about himself before he goes to the camp and discovers all this mythology stuff. I think it's like, she's like, I want him to have like his human identity before he has his demigod identity. And I was like, okay, I think that can make sense. And the guy playing Poseidon, I think, did a good job, and I actually liked the way he talked to her. I liked the way he listened to her. I liked the way he encouraged her. And I liked the way he said, you know, when he needs me, I'll be there by his side. And, you know, I could almost, when she offered for him to, like, talk to his son, I felt like I could kind of see the pain in his eyes, like, how much he wanted to. So that was kind of good. Like, there's a little bit of hope here and there. But, yeah, I mean, you know what else I think about the episode. A lot of problems. And it's not like the books. So, you know what? Don't expect this show to be like the books. Just don't. Because you're going to get really, really bummed out. Oh, God. It's just... And some people who are like, well, why do you want it to be like the books? You can just read the books. Yeah, but, you know, I would have liked to see the story come to life. This is a story that meant a lot to me, and that I first started reading when I was at a really low point in my life, and that helped get me through stuff. Like, we all have our comfort books or comfort shows or comfort movies. Percy Jackson was a comfort series for me. Not just a comfort series, but it really connected with me. So, you know, I really wish, like, we could get the magic of that series translated onto a screen and, like, have a definitive live-action version for people. Because as of right now, I still can't say this is a definitive way to experience Percy Jackson. If people say, hey, I want to experience Percy Jackson, I'd say, read the books. Don't watch the show first. Don't watch the movies, for fuck's sake, first. Read the books. If you want to watch the show, I'd say read the books first, so that you can really experience, like, what Percy Jackson is. I don't know. I just don't really like the way it's executed in the show. I know a lot of people are loving it. Like, YouTubers I respect are loving it. Good for them. Good for them. I know Movie Flame's enjoying it a lot. He's a YouTuber I actually really like. So, congratulations. I wish I was in that group. I wish I could enjoy the show as much as you guys. And there were times when I enjoyed it a little more. I liked episode 4. I liked episode 5. But didn't like this episode for obvious reasons. Liked things about it, but I feel like we missed out on a lot of really great stuff. We took all of Charon's comedy away, and then we tried to give comedy to Hades. It's like, can't you just leave stuff where it was supposed to be? And one reason I don't like these flashbacks is they take so much time away from the episode. It's like, come on. You could have just had that last flashback. The one in the diner. It could have been fine. I don't know. It's that thing they said about he drew a picture of a horse with wings. We can't have him here. I was like, what's wrong with you people? It's ridiculous. But next episode is definitely going to be the fight with Ares. We'll see how that's done. I don't know. I'm just glad I could finally see the budget on the screen. I was like, okay, now I can see where money's going. Though I still don't see where it went with previous episodes. But, yeah. I think that's really all I have to say so far. I'll see the next episode, see how it goes. I don't know how to end videos.